Hey, welcome to episode 171. And today is another installment of Listeners' Questions Answered. I'm really excited to dive into this one. Let's go. Welcome to the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. I am an intuitive eating counselor and I'm also a mom to four. This podcast is not just for mamas, it's for all women who are ready to ditch diets, ditch the scale and food guilt forever, and instead invite peace with food, increase their body trust, and confidence in all of her choices. I believe this show is going to shed some light on sneaky ways diet culture has infiltrated your thoughts, your family, and your well-being. No matter the episode, I want you to walk away feeling informed, inspired, and encouraged. So whether you're taking a walk, washing the dishes, or carting kids around, let's dive into the latest episode on the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. All right, we have another question that was submitted to the podcast, and I'm excited to dive in. If you're wondering, how do I ask a question? Great question. In the show notes, you'll see a link to submit a question to the podcast, or you can head to www.theintuitiveeatingmama.com/pod-question. Fill out a little bit of info, and I'll be sure to be answering your question maybe next on this segment. But for today, I have a question from listener. Her name is Erica. And she said, so I'm really struggling with feeling hungry in the morning. I don't feel like eating and I really don't know what to do. I'm pretty sure it's because I did intermittent fasting for so long that I can't even recognize when I'm hungry. Can you please help me? What do I do if I don't feel hungry in the morning, but I know I need to eat? This is a great question. And it's great because it's so common. It's so common because oftentimes anyone dieting is trying to restrict what they're eating and therefore throwing off their hunger cues, like putting them on mute. I would say they're not gone, but they definitely can be muted. So what do you do if you don't feel hungry in the morning, but eventually, right, you get hungry, hangry, moody, like so famished because you haven't eaten? But the reality is you don't feel hungry in the morning. And when you say I don't feel hungry in the morning, most likely what you're describing is I don't feel hunger signals. I don't have that grumbling, the hollow feeling. It's not making any noises. Maybe food doesn't even seem appealing in the morning. Again, years of ignoring those signals will absolutely do that to you. And you're not at fault. Take a moment, have some grace for yourselves, increase some compassion. And then here's what I'm going to suggest. Utilize practical hunger. You might be asking, what is that? What is practical hunger? So what it is you're actually going to plan something to eat even though you're not feeling those hunger signals. Now, when I teach this in my course with my clients, we utilize practical hunger in several ways. But for this instance, to answer this question when you're not hungry in the morning, this is such an amazing tool to use. Start small, start with something that sounds appealing, and actually eat something. It's practical, right? Practical hunger is when you don't actually feel hungry, but you're eating something. There's some other instances that you might utilize this on. My clients tell me they love practical hunger for when they know they have a lot of errands to run and they're going to get hungry somewhere in that space, somewhere in that time. So they utilize practical hunger and they have a little something to eat before they leave. I've heard this from moms who have to do like the pickup line at school. Are you a mom out there listening, shaking your head going, oh my gosh, I wasn't hungry before I left, but 30 minutes sitting in this freaking line and I'm going to be hangry by the time I get home. So some of them will utilize practical hunger in that way. For me, I know if I'm going on a Target run, y'all, I better have something to eat before I go because there's no way I'm running in and running out. It's just not going to happen. But honestly, it's when they know their schedules are going to be busy, so they have a little something to tide them over, if you will, and it's utilizing practical hunger. See, this is the problem I think we get into with intuitive eating and these myths and things that are shared that just really are not totally true, is that you only eat when you're hungry. That's not how the human body was designed. Sometimes we know we're going to go without for a while, so we eat something before then. Sometimes we're not really hungry, but we're at a celebration and we want to try the cake, or our kid made something and we want to enjoy, a bite of whatever it is. My kids have done this before. I'm just sharing personal experience. I really wasn't terribly hungry, but they had made this cake and I'm not really a big cake eater anyway. And they shared, of course, I'm going to be like, yes, I'd love to try a bite of that. So we can't get caught up in all of these rules about hunger. Only eat when you're hungry. That turns into a diet rule, and that's not intuitive eating. And it also comes on that other side where I'm not really feeling hunger, but I know if I don't have a little something, or if I don't try to wake these signals back up, by the time I feel hunger, it's so out of control. I feel like I can never get it under control, like I just don't get satisfied. So, Erica, what I'm going to suggest is start with something small. Maybe for you, it is oatmeal or some toast, a banana, a piece of fruit. Maybe you're like one of my kids and you're like, yeah, some of those leftovers sound really good. Give me some of that fried rice. And that's what sounds most appealing to have a little bit in the morning. What you're doing in doing this is waking up those hunger signals, reminding your body, oh yeah, I'm doing things now. I'm awake. I need the energy. Right. Now, it doesn't happen overnight. I'm going to be very clear. It's not like one and done either. Oh, I have a little something and now every day I want breakfast. No. Oftentimes it takes a little while, takes some experimenting, and it definitely takes some grace and compassion when you're like, and this morning went by and I didn't get anything. That happens. You're not going backwards. You're learning how it feels again when I don't have anything at all. Right, I don't like this feeling. What can I plan for tomorrow morning? I love questions like this because they're very practical and there's things we really can do to help ourselves very practically. Practical hunger. That's way too many times saying the word practical, but I think you get my point. I really like that you can put something right into practice. Maybe you are listening, you're not Erica. Hi, Erica. But you're not Erica, and you also have struggled with, I don't really feel hungry in the morning. What do I do? Utilizing practical hunger can really be that thing that gets you back to hearing those signals. Remember, they're only on mute. They're not gone. They've just been muted. I've used that analogy before here on the podcast. I've used it with my clients. It's like that friend that lives long distance. You haven't talked for a really long time. But when she picks up and you start catching up, you feel connected again. You might even set time to talk again soon so it doesn't go so long. It's just on mute. Pick up the phone, whatever that looks like for you. I can remember way, way back in the day, having breakfast was something I did not do. And when I started eating breakfast, I had to start small. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, this feels really good. And then I would just slowly add to that depending on what my body was telling me. I hope this is helpful to you. Like I said, I love these kind of episodes, and I want to encourage you, if you struggle with hunger, with fullness, with really even trusting your body, my intuitive eating course, One Bite at a Time, is really an amazing resource. And not just a resource like, oh, this was really nice to listen to, because there's tons of audios, Jen teaching in there, but to implement, to actually put these things into action in a supportive way at your own pace. Yes, I created this course to be completely self-paced because I know sometimes you need to stay in one of those principles a little bit longer. And for you, it might be honoring your hunger. You might need to stay there a little longer until you feel more confident to move on. All you need to do is head into the show notes, click on the course, and hey, I do have a coupon code still sitting in there for you to utilize on that pay in full option. I can't wait to welcome you in the course, and I can't wait to see what other questions you have for me for the podcast. Until next week. What if you had a peaceful and uncomplicated relationship with food? I mean, what if that meant you no longer stressed when sweets and sugar was in your house? What if you went out to eat without needing to know what's on the menu ahead of time? What if you trusted your body and you knew exactly what it needed and wanted? And what if you ditched diets and diet talk in your home once and for all? If you are ready to stop stressing and obsessing about food and stop the diet cycle in your life, then I think you will love my self-paced intuitive eating course, one bite at a time. Each module is packed with information, but not just information for knowledge, information to help you implement the principles of intuitive eating. In fact, here's what one of my clients had to say about this course. Carrie says, I think all the information is broken down into really easy to process segments, and there is plenty of time to work on each area. I can't believe how far I have come in such a short space of time. If you've been looking for a self-paced intuitive eating course that also gives you amazing support and encouragement throughout, this is exactly what you've been looking for. Head into the show notes wherever you're listening and click Intuitive Eating Course, or you can head to www.theintuitiveeatingmama.com/course. You'll find 2 payment plans so that you can fit it into your budget. And as a thank you for listening on the podcast, use coupon code IEMAMA for $200 off the pay in full option. I can't wait to welcome you into the intuitive eating course, one bite at a time.